Everybody dressed?
Are we doing that?
I did not.
I can hear something's going through the speakers,
Which means that it is working.
now at least. And it just started doing that.
So they said, yeah.
Oh, Laurie said that she can hear us.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I think we need to mute the speakers for us. Because it's doing that.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Good. Just don't echo. Let me see what there's.
The sugar and the rest is good.
I'll leave it outside.
No, not the microphone, it's the speakers. They don't want the speaker to be microphone. In this, so we need to mute the speakers. You had a speaker on the test bar. So right, that one, turn that down. You guys still hear us okay?
No, it's still doing that.
That's
Doing that.
I can hear you. It's just not fabulous. Okay, the sound is gone now.
So we just want to mute the speaker.
So then one item.
Because we don't need to have
This is all set up different.
Actually, now you just stick with the speaker on. So,
Greg, do you want to do what?
stand in the house. I would say each one goes. Basically, we just don't want the microphones coming through our speakers.
Is it off now? Is that better? Yeah.
So change the. Change this. Okay. Set to the top.
The sliders is here.
Take
Take it to zero.
Laurie, can you hear us?
Take it to zero.
That is zero.
And then the microphone.
We had that before, didn't we? Take the.
Microphone's the. Right. So that's just.
Okay, are we good now? I think we're good now.
Right.
Yeah, it's not actually.
Everybody still here?
Speaker is fine. You got in for me. Trying to do the phone too. We're just not trying to figure it out.
So you're right on time.
No, we're good.
The problem is that it might be where we're getting sound when they. It should be getting some sound.
Sound should be. Her laptop, because that's what we say to cut the volume. It is on, right? No, that one's muted. You've unmuted your laptop, but that's not gonna pick up the sound from everyone.
Well,
So is that how needed right now?
I don't see how.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's she, but it's not.
How many, what for employees and board members does it take?
The sound has improved, whatever you did.
Can you hear us then?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
We want, that's right.
Okay, whatever we're doing, we're working now. Okay, there's two, does the speaker go off?
It's perfect right now.
I guess you can close that.
Audio and visual, one to one.
Okay, everybody happy?
Let's take it.
All right, do we need to re-roll call or are we?
I think just online.
Roll call.
Sherry's here.
Thank you, Sherry.
Laurie's here too.
Isn't it supposed to be?
Okay.
You got Sherry, Murray, and Justin. Justin, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sister? Yeah.
That's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Gathering. Sorry, everybody. It looks like we had a little jumbling of the sound devices and have to figure out what's right. So, we're going to get started again. Start with the introduction.
Yes, so we have Evan, tier roll. I want to make sure I say your name correctly, and I did it right.
Yes.
All right. Tier roll, like a tear rolling down the cheek is how I described it to me, and that's how I remember it. So, there's an introduction of Evan in the packet, and, if you'd like, right now, Mr. Chair, that he could do an intro, or when you do the resolution, what would be your preference?
What do we do about the resolution? All right.
The packet was in there. This is a letter that Evan sent to our staff and our team. And it was an introduction to him. The idea came about through our leadership retreat and doing our succession planning. The managers really felt like it'd be great to have an introduction of Evan and then have the employees have time to send questions and concerns back to Hazel, who's our neutral Switzerland party, say, so on HR. And then it just really made sense for Evan to do the introductions. So really, I think is, accentuates his care as he, coming in and wanting to actually employ his.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get started with the consent items. We're stopping, we're on.
I'll make a motion to approve consent items.
Give a second.
Second, Anna with Taylor's bill.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. And some public comments. I don't know if we have any online. Is everybody here that has anything they want to share with us? Seeing none. First business item, board.com adoption resolution. 435, but we'll start with the intro. First.
Evan, come on. Awesome. I gave Evan the tall chair, so he has plenty of leg.
I thought I was sitting a little low.
Well, thank you very much and good morning, everyone. Fairly excited about this opportunity, and as Pam mentioned, the letter was tailored towards the staff. For a variety of you, also passed through some of our previous interviews. And so I'm here to really absorb and learn from the team over the next coming months and over months. And of course, to have the opportunity to work with Pam over the next 5 years to be incredible and a really great opportunity for streamlining succession. So, if you're not aware, I also have previously served in general manager kind of capacities with Grand County, Utah, overseeing their solid waste special services group. I also served as the solid waste and fleet services section director, city of Lifespan in Arizona. Things throughout my career, and so this is definitely a big step forward for me, and I'm very excited about it. Thank the board for their confidence, willingness to serve and watch out.
Thank you. All right. On to the resolution. Looks like
All right.
Okay.
Just take that out.
I guess I'll just read the resolution. Good thing. This is a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District appointing Evan Chairwell as general managers for CEO. Resolution 4435 dated August 25th, 2025. Whereas the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District, the district, convened in regular meeting on August 25th, 2025 to consider, among other things, the appointment of a general manager / CEO. And whereas the Board of Trustees, the board, has determined that it is in the best interest of the district to appoint a general manager / CEO. Perform the executive and administrative duties set forth in district policy. And to carry out the policy direction of the board, and whereas the board finds that Evan Chairwell is well qualified and has served in executive positions with another district in the state of Utah and other government agencies, and he meets all the requirements to serve as the district general manager, CEO, including education and leadership agencies. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District as follows. One, that Evan Chairwell is hereby appointed to serve as the general manager, CEO of the district, and shall perform the duties and responsibilities set forth in district policy and such additional duties as may be directed by the board from time to time. Two, board chair is authorized to execute an employment agreement with Evan Chairwell consistent with this appointment and the policies of the district. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its passage. Approved and adopted this 25th day of August 2025. All right. So we'll take a motion at this time, if anybody would like to.
I'm happy to move that resolution forward.
Second.
Thank you, Lori, and thank you, Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I would like to point out that Matt was not able to be here from Common Heights, and he did express that he was also supportive of your appointment. Unfortunately, it's not there, but we want to make sure we put it on the record that he supports you. So that motion carries. I didn't have to say that.
My never decided, had a conflict, but he also supports.
Okay,
Eric's appointment, or we can't vote.
great. So I'm sure that they would want to have been here and officially done that. But great sometimes. So, all right. I guess moving on then. 4.2, Adam Terrell of Office, Katarina. You.
Where do you say that? Yes. So I shall see this one as that. And I'm going to I
I,
state your name.
Evan Tyrrell,
Having been appointed to the office of
having been appointed to the office of
Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District,
Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District,
general managers, you
general manager, CEO,
you solemnly affirm that I will support,
do solemnly affirm that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and
the
defend
Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Utah.
and the Constitution of the state of Utah.
And I will discharge the duties of the office
I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
All right. Thank you very much. How exciting. I'm glad that didn't take a lot more effort, because that was a lot of hard work, but. And Pam, dang you.
You good now?
I'm trying to put it together too, so it's, we're in good. It's definitely, you're gonna be missed, and thank goodness we still have you another month. So, we got a little time to make sure that the ship stays running for you. We appreciate all your hard efforts, years and years and years of service for this district. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you all and the support over the years. We all know the separation wasn't easy. Just thankful to the board and support for me and the team. And I can say the leadership team is in good synergy right now, and the energy that's going on and the planning that we've, continued on. And there's an orientation for Evan later this afternoon that the management team leadership team together. I think we really good overview. And then we come in. Everybody wants him to succeed, which is fabulous.
Well, it sounds like they're excited and that's good. We definitely don't want somebody that they're gonna be against and fighting for, so.
Fresh eyes are always.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, we are a team, and so it's good to have that good energy going around, so. I know that you'll be grateful leaving in somebody in good hands. We're grateful for that as well. Fair enough. All right. Next agenda item 43, request for approval of the classification of one equipment operator from just full-time employee to an equipment operator full-time employee.
Okay, so this is just, we currently have the allocation, so just to be clear, we're not increasing any allocations. There are 65 equipment operator positions itself, or FTEs, 2 of which are apprentice positions. So it's just a reminder and refresher of that program. We kicked it off in 2023 and reclassified 3 vacant equipment operator positions. I thought it was 5, but apparently it's 3, going back and getting the history. And also in that program was a training coordinator, which we realized that we really didn't need that position. So that one was eliminated later this year. We have 2 training coordinators. Trainers, thank you. Equipment operator apprentice trainers. And those we really want to keep, because we know that when we have new hires come in or retraining, refresh, that we really need that additional, those two allocations for that. Right now, we have 1 equipment operator apprentice FTE that's filled, and that is Alex Focus, who will be graduating probably in the next 3 months into the equipment operator position that we're leaving vacant. And that's the other thing with these apprentice positions, if there's somebody in those spots, we have to leave a vacancy of a regular operator. And what we found is that with those salary market adjustments that you all, I know that was hard because it was part of the fee increase that we needed, but that additional $400,000 that came into this year is really paying off. We were able to recruit. Retention can still be a little tough because those trucks, those sidewheel trucks are pretty complicated. So we have to have a couple of people leave, but the bottom line is we're able to recruit and keep that going more. And so we would like to open this or reclassify this position to a regular equipment operator. We've noticed some staffing issues with current drivers needing time off because of medical leave, also making enough people come PTO. So in working with the operations team, this has come directly from David Dicka and the managers that are sitting behind me that would really like this seat be able to be filled. So that's the request before you, Ellen. I know there's the numbers, and if you wouldn't mind just doing a quick review. Cost difference for it.
So the apprentice is at 26.06 per hour, where the starting rate for a equipment operator is $30.70 per hour, capping at $33.98. It's not a fairly experience. So the annual increase to incorporated by making this change would be $12,058 at the bottom of the range, or $20,083 at the top of the range, and works further with the campaign. And that includes their benefits as well. So that is the difference that we'll see by hiring somebody, which, you know, the apprentice, as you know, is already explained, they're starting at 26 but in that 6 month time frame, they're going to be moving down to that next range anyway. So this is a total from the 2606 to the, you know, 3070 different 8, but really probably it's a similar change anyway, because they're moving from the to.
There's no need for a budget adjustment. We're able to absorb this increased cost for the remaining of the year. Budget for 2026 going forward. So we can absorb this. So it's seeking your approval. Any questions for me?
Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Any comments?
Comments.
Questions? Okay.
Yeah.
First, though, I fully support this. It reminded me of a podcast episode I recently listened to from the Sutherland Institute. It's a great episode on apprenticeships and reinforces, excuse me, why this is such a great idea. And it's basically, let me just say, it's by Josh. The guest on the episode is Josh Vanda. And he talks about the notion of adopting a career-first mindset with apprenticeships playing a central role. So just thought I would share that for anyone who's interested. It really supports this effort. In addition to the podcast, I support it.
Thank you.
And if needed, I'll make a motion as well, or I can just make the comment.
Before you do, I would just say that we've had, I believe, 4 graduates so far from this program. We're about to have our 5th, so it has paid off. And I just feel like, you know, the team, we want to keep at least one of those spots open. That's necessary.
Yeah. Just gonna echo, you know, it seems like apprenticeships are kind of a lost art form these days, and they're undervalued significantly because they're, you know, I mean, effectively, we're getting ready to go to CEO. Specific to what we're.
You're right.
But, you know, so, it's invaluable. I mean, it's, I'll just quickly just say that, you know, a lot of companies expect 2 weeks notice from somebody. Frankly, it's not enough time to find somebody, bring somebody on board, and, you know, that company will always struggle for 6 months to a year trying to cover that expertise and knowledge. And so I'm definitely highly supportive of this program. But anyway, getting back to the matter at hand of something more.
Motion to approve reclassification of water gate operator XE to equipment operator X. Second.
Thank you, Emily, Marcy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I said aye for, I didn't say aye, but I said aye for the approves. Motion carries. I'm a day, apparently. All right, recommended policy amendments.
Yeah, I reviewed the policy manual and just trying to shore up any loose ends before I set sail on my motorcycle, or I guess it's not setting sail, I didn't wait on my motorcycle. Safely, by the way. And then I worked with Rachel to just go through some of these related to the board members, as well as everything else. And then Hazel, of course, was involved in anything that had to do with the human resource section. So to start off with, in this packet you have, and understand this was pulled from the big pack, policy manual. This has to do with the board members and how they're appointed. Previously, it had the cities, and then it also called out metro townships of Kearns, Magna, White City, etc. But in looking at it, every city is now a city or a town. And so I asked Rachel if we could modify this, and if you want to just touch on it, see if we can. It's pretty straightforward there. We just updated the language. Everyone is municipality. We don't need to reference metro township specifically. So municipalities include towns and cities. And they incorporated in that term. And then obviously the M for county. So that just kind of cleans up that language and makes it applicable moving forward regardless of any other changes that kind of happen on the level. Cities and counties.
Yeah, so if West Jordan, that doesn't change anything with them, they want to come along and repoint.
Better than the state specifically because those things.
Yes. Say municipality.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
So when and if we get some motion, we add this part of it. Hey, you're not my mistake here. So that's totally.
If it's a nice smell.
Everyone's got on and then the next one has to do with contracts. This is mainly switching. When we separated from Salt Lake County, we changed everything from disciplinary action or discipline or what have you to corrective action and performance correction. So that was just something Katarina caught in this particular section to change that one. Pretty self-explanatory. I'll just keep moving on, tell you about questions. As part of the HR section, human resource, that's chapter 9, and this particular section that you have before you, the 9.1.1 has to do with the exempt staff, so people that are not eligible for overtime and so forth. So in working over the past years, having comp time available for staff, it really became a very difficult situation for managers to manage, to make sure that we had enough people here not taking additional leave. So it became its own leave bank, and people were accruing that rather than overtime. So I suspended that last year because it was such a nightmare to manage for our frontline, and then also administratively, it was hard to keep track of those banks. So to reduce liabilities and to make things a little easier to manage, I'm requesting to just keep in the overtime piece, not for the, not for FLA, not for those that are exempt, but for all other employees. But here at the top, it's up here to say comp time. So anywhere throughout here, we're taking the comp time out as a possible benefit. So that's just strengthening that one. And then the other thing under 9.1.3, all employees are eligible for the same benefits as the district employees unless a contract is in place stating otherwise. All employees may be separated from employment with or without cause. Is the only thing there. And then with the separation for at-will employees, it's up to 3 months of paid leave or severance pay for that particular position. The GM contract does have a different clause in there for the GM. So work week, there was really nothing defined there. Other than district work week runs from Sunday, 12:01 a.m. to the following Saturday at 11:59 a.m. So I just called this out for best practices. And you'll notice that each one of these, I said that the operation is generally run, say AM to 6 p.m. District business hours are generally Monday through Friday. So it's just to kind of shore these up. Again, it's just a cleanup. And then up down here under overtime, we deleted overtime as a possibility there. And
I'm pretty good. I'm doing it.
yes,
About that. I'm curious about 9.1.3.1, up to 3 months. You took out 1 month's salary, but up to 3 months, 7 months.
so yeah, the 1 month, the whole thing read that it's 1 month per year that the person's employed. So say like for me, if I was released not for cause, it would have been a 6-month severance, right? So this was just shorting it up to say any at will. And honestly, this is Helen, is the only at will besides the appointed general manager. So it's mainly to say that they have 3 months, up to 3 months of severance pay. That's kind of become the standard around the valley, is my understanding.
I always get concerned about something vague up to some vague to me, because I don't determine that. Who decides that? I'm curious if there's a policy that states who decides that, what makes that decision? If you're only here for 3 months and then you got fired, you get 3 months severance. What determines that?
So this is, yeah, without cause, right? So that's where you're going from, I get it. So,
Do we just need to add in the
oh, one word work every month.
1 month per year of service, 2-3 months, is that all?
And I'm saying for staff with it for
Yeah, I just deleted too much text.
keep the same formula. I can see the problem that you're.
Yeah.
That's how they feel. You don't want it to be unlimited. Yeah, so we're still here 12 years.
Or, yeah, it's- yeah.
I also don't want some to be here for 3 days and then not the severance, you know?
That's a great discussion.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, make that change, maybe so we'll know that, if and when we get to that. Any other questions there, we'll move on, again, a cleanup here for 9.4.2 holidays, and it did say vacation or sick, so we updated that for the PTO policy. 15.2 is a cleanup, moving from executive to general manager. Records manager, Kevin, you did most of this was just a cleanup, that's right. Records. And I believe that we did. So, with those changes, seek approval of these amendments. Mr. Chair.
So those 2 changes were, corrections, fine. Yeah.
And then, 9,
The spelling, and then obviously the pretty long, just clarifying the terms of those 2. So anybody like to make a motion with that?
So moved.
We have a second.
Second, Sherry.
Sherry, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
thank you, appreciate
Yeah.
that.
All right, again, follow up on Jordan's.
There. Sorry, this
Sure.
is Laurie. I couldn't get my mute off for a second. I'm an I as well.
I as well.
Yes,
Oh.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is the follow-up for West Jordan's board appointment, in talking with their city administrator, Corbin Lee. He said that there's quite a few council members that are up for them. So they just want to wait until after the first of the year, and when they make their normal board appointments, at that time, they will, reach out and let us know who they'd like to. And then I'll get with Evan and Helen just to walk through the standard when we get before. So we're part of, board member households orientation, so that's the normal.
It's also,
It would be an additional seat where,
Does that change how many people we report?
it could. See everywhere.
so it's good.
15, so there's 14 and 9 that's coming down. So what's the one? Yeah. Probably.
I wasn't sure, I interrupted, so. All right, well, we're going to move to 4.6, vote on Fairfield City's request for referral and Richmond.
So last month, we reviewed the letter that Mayor Palmer submitted to me, and I wanted to make sure you were in the loop. And I think we're all familiar that Fairfield City is given a formal notice that they would like to withdraw from the district. So the letter was mainly stating that formally and then also requesting a meeting. So myself, Helen, and Rachel are now meeting with city officials on August 14th, and Board Member Orr was a part of that, as well as Mayor Palmer, Trevor Ram, who's their management analyst, Todd, and I forgot his last name, their legal counsel, and Nathan Sierpetsky, who is the city manager, was there. And we walked through, Rachel did a great job going through the legal process and the state statute that does state that there needs to be a petition for the residents. We know that that's not the case, and so the bottom line is we want to look at what can we do here. So when we looked at any kind of negotiation of, is it gonna be, Harriman owes the district money if they actually leave because we bought all these assets and we have the liabilities and what happens there, or the district owes Harriman anything. We don't know because we don't have a foundation of costs per area or city or things of that nature. I can say we have an idea, sure, because we keep data. But really, what's before you is a formal request for direction to proceed and launch an RFP or put together an RFP that would be in collaboration with Harriman city officials to really look at it too. And I'll maybe want to be part of that and reviewing it. And the main thing we need to determine is what's the scope of work. And here today, you as a board will need some more direction too, collaboration with Harriman, but we need to know, are we looking other cities leading possibly? Do we want to have that feasibility study as included as well? Is Harriman willing to pay for the whole thing if it's just about Harriman? But it needs to be a shared cost if it goes beyond that. And I would request that we go beyond that. We really need to know the implications of anybody else. And then I'll turn some time over to Rachel if you have anything else to add.
No, you're great, yeah. I think you pretty much covered it. It's just that, yeah, we looked at the statute and there's a couple different methods for initiating withdrawals. We talked about that, and I know we've talked about that here as well. One method is citizen petitions, which is a different process that we're going through. There is an option for this board to pass a resolution saying that we are going to initiate the withdrawal, but we're not to that step yet. We basically have a request from Harriman to do that. So we're kind of looking ahead of what would it take for us to be allowed to approve a withdrawal, because the statute has a list of items that have to be considered, and it's this list of things that says if any of these factors exist, you must say no. So that's why we're kind of like, well, let's analyze that first, because if that's a no, then there's no point in pursuing it. And so that's where we're at in thinking, let's get this feasibility study done. In the long list, which is in that 510 section, we've kind of pre-identified that there's maybe 2 or 3 of those factors that are most pertinent. There's several of them that like we know these don't exist. We don't have bonds. I'm concerned about that. But there's things like, I'm going to tell like I said the statute in front of me, but it's you know, would the withdrawal create any sort of insular island, you know, where we now have to go out past vast areas of non-district territory to get to some pieces of our territory? Would the withdrawal materially impact our ability to operate the main district in such a way that would require a fee increase, a significant fee increase? And then also we're allowed to look at the effect of cumulative requests. That kind of goes into what Kim was talking about. Kind of want to look at what is the effect of us, or how do we look at if we start getting more requests? And it's something that the board can consider. Is we don't want to go down that path of having withdrawals, because if we get too many, then what's the point? Or they can say yes, but in certain circumstances, well. So that's what we talked about. Like, I think Kim explained it really well. The plan, if we get the direction from the board, is to draft an RFP to hire a feasibility consultant, and parents need drafting that to make sure everyone's cool with it. And the idea is sort of Harriman will pay whatever percentage of that feasibility study relates to Harriman's withdrawal specifically, and then we'll get the state that goes beyond the scope of that. And we don't know. Him and I struggled over this. We were like, what's the percentage? So then I kind of had the idea, let's just say like, we'll pay for the portion that doesn't relate, and then somehow work in feasibility. So tell us, I spent this much time on you versus them. Yeah. We'll work that out when we draft it, but that's kind of
That's the 2 main components that we really have, the definition of materially impact, right? And then the other thing that Helen mentioned, and I thought was something I agree, is, you know, for me as a general manager, I always want to know what our residents think and what they want. And so I would ask that RFP also includes a survey of residents so that you as a board know what our residents want. for, residents of Jericho City, right? So I've always looked at residences that there are ours, we take care of all of our. So these residents are in Jericho City, so what are they? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just add that I think that's helpful too, because I think the main intent of the statute was trying to push you towards doing this petition route. And there is a way to do it without a petition, but if you're doing it without a petition, it's kind of nice to still, during your analysis, look at what's answered.
Question, so would the consultant that you hire, would they issue a survey or would that come from management team?
I think it might be best for the third party.
That's how you know.
Yeah, absolutely, and that would be part of their scope of work, and definitely. And then in the past, I just wanted to share that, back in 1980, and I don't remember the exact year because, I wasn't with the county or anybody, I was out there doing whatever I was doing. But, when West Valley City incorporated, and once they were established, they went to the county commission at that time. It was before the council was formed with their governance. They basically petitioned or asked that the commissioners let them out of the district. And the commissioners were serving as the board of trustees back then. So I don't know all the ins and outs, legalities. I got, grandma behind those documents, but basically they let them out. And so the district was shrunk and it left magnet and current silence. And in this case with Harriman, there will be a peninsula with the Southwest Incorporated would remain and would travel through Harriman to service them. The economies of scale for Copperton are increased because we are servicing Harriman. So those factors that I think need to be considered because it is about district boundaries. It's not about county boundaries or the city boundaries. So anyway, there's those other factors. But Murray City, before I started, back in 2005, Mayor Schnarr, I believe was the mayor at that time, had asked, approached the county at that time and said, we are entertaining the thought of withdrawing that 2,800 homes that we annexed that are in your boundaries. So I don't know if they petitioned or I don't think they did. They basically did a survey.
Yep.
And,
They said no.
no,
I mean, it was strong, they liked the services, they wanted to keep them. And so, it really concerns me. I don't understand. I would like to know what it was generated, if it was generated for the citizens, which it sounds it wasn't, or the administration. And so I think a lot more information is really needed. And we then did it again.
2015.
Right, in 2015, just after I was elected, and again, no, they really appreciate the service. And when I walk my neighborhoods, I always find out they really appreciate it. And so they have no interest in changing. We have half of Murray has Woodford and the other half has, what's it called? Ace. And the other half is never happy, so it's just the weirdest thing, but anyway, so.
The other half that has an ace is never happy.
No, they're always wanting more, they say, okay, the east side gets this, why don't we? They have this complex.
Oh, is it an east side, west side issue?
I'm sorry.
Is it an east side, west side issue in your city, like where the division is?
Yeah.
Nice.
I know, so anyway, but so we thought, well, let's get it all together, but they would not leave Woodford, so it's pretty interesting.
Just out of curiosity, maybe this isn't the place, but why doesn't the other half leave Ace?
I'm not really clear on that, why they don't.
Probably don't.
Well,
Murray's pretty tight. I mean, they
Yeah.
know.
yeah, no, they
Yeah, it's the same process to leave to get another boundary.
Yeah.
I understand. It's,
Oh, I mean, Murray might want to come on next meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not real clear on that, why they.
It's interesting.
They don't, and it's very
Right.
They don't hold their residents and what we do. So I don't know, it's kind of weird, but, and I have people saying, why don't we have Wilford? I said, well, I don't know, talk to the man.
Just have one more comment now too about the process is that if, feasibility study doesn't just say yes or no, it could also say it would work if these conditions exist. And so that's where they just run through our notes. It might come up with an option that would make it work. So we'll consider that once we get to that point, but we're thinking feasibility study and then, by the end of the year-ish, or maybe early next year, we'll have that done option on the table. So you guys will. Yeah, we don't have feasibility progress. But just have someone selected. Yeah, exactly.
So Sherry, are your residents gonna be polled, or is it just the decision's already been made? I'm kind of confused.
Sure, now these guys are requesting that to be an RFP.
I'm sorry.
My name brought this up at the meeting also. I guess, it's interesting, the different comments. I guess, first of all, when you were sworn in, and there was tears in that seat, it just reminded me that, to reiterate that these decisions are based on what, feel is best for our particular community. It has no reflection at all on staff or the person sitting in that seat. This is absolutely a logistical, administrative, decision, and it's not based on emotion. So to your question, I don't get the same response. 10 years ago, in 2015, I probably would have got what you just described in Murray. Now I no longer get that. And a huge chunk of it is to do with the tuition we talked about all the time, the rate increase in the scrap program. Okay, and so those are things that were much different 10 years ago than they are today. So that it's to change the landscape of the way people feel. And I do get feedback, and our athletic council do get feedback. So to say, is this just administrative decision? No, it's not. It's based on feedback, and I was elected to represent these people. And so I too communicate with our residents and things like that. So it's not, oh, we the hierarchy of Harriman have decided that this is what's best for our little opinions. It's not about that. It's simply about that through feedback and feeling like we have an obligation, because this, to me, this is a tax. Call it what you want. Our residents don't get to decide whether or not to pay for it. If they don't pay for it, we have other things. So my responsibility is to make sure that those funds are considered sacred. And if I can find areas of improvement, I believe I was represented to elected to be.
And you believe you've done that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we went through the process. It's like, when I first was on the board, I went through a process to say, I was like, we should go out for RFPs to make sure we're getting all this. And that was before I knew anything about special services or any of this minutia that goes behind all this, right? But, and then it was explained to me that, well, you're involved in this, with the district, so you really can't do that. And I said, well, let's understand what the competition is offering as far as pricing and things like that. And at the time, we were great. We were in line with what was going on. So it was like, okay, this makes sense to just keep forward. But this was almost 8 years ago, and now it's different. And we are definitely very expensive compared to everyone else in the county. And so then I have to look at my residents and go, is this being fair to you? Because you elected me to do this job. So that's my feeling on those kinds of things, because I agree, 10 years ago, the feedback was different than it is now. I can tell you that there's definitely a, somewhat of an elephant in the room, this feeling of, well, you're not a team member anymore. You're not playing with the team because you're, it's one for all for one. And I understand that mentality, but I watch legislation get passed all the time that's one size fits all. And it should never be a one size fits all, because one size doesn't always fit every community. One size fits all, and this won't fit every community that's on this. And if it gets to the point where you don't feel like it fits your community, I think it's wrong to make
to force a community to stay in something they don't feel like it fits, right? And I know that's a special service district issue. I guarantee you that there's a lot of politics going behind what's going on right now because they're trying to protect, which I totally understand, that special service district. We're trying to protect that sandbox because it's special and it's there for a reason. It's there for a purpose. And I understand that completely, right? It's important for certain things. But there comes a point that we have to say, then when a city grows to a certain capacity or gets, changes happen, then do they have the right to look at other options? And my feeling is they should. I think they should be held hostage is what I call them for in these situations, right? I think there has to be, it's tough because you have, the legislation is trying to protect special service districts. So they don't just implode because people grow out of them. I understand that completely. But there has to be a balance there somewhere that allows cities who it just doesn't work in to leave and make their own path. So those are just some of my feelings on it. I think the meeting was really good. I appreciate these guys' time a ton. I agree, we talked about, I think Emily was great. Is the person who brought it up about paying for the RFP and I was like, should we pay, should we not? But then we had a big discussion about that. But yeah, this is just so Harriman withdrawal, and it makes sense in Harriman. And then we have a discussion about if it's bigger than that, because our city has been contacted by several cities that sit on this board, and I won't mention everyone's name because some of it was confidential. That has said, we've considered it, we've been told we can't, we have different things like that. So it's going to be important to understand that. It's going to be important to make sure that this continues to function for the people that it makes sense for. Anyway, those are my feelings on that. I think that I'm supportive of the RFP. I think it's important to find out. We talked a little bit about, are these other cities like, Heights, who the, Taylorsville, are they the ones, because they're more clumped together up by the transfer station, are they the ones that are carrying everybody else because it's cheaper to service them and it's more expensive to service them? I don't know. Is it? If it is, then should be right to for the parent because it's more expensive, because it doesn't make sense to be along, those kind of things. I just think those things are really important to understand as a board that we can make different decisions. I think there's a clear conflict from every single person who sits on this board. And if there's not, then I question that because I have a conflict, because the only reason I sit on this board is because I am elected as a representative of the citizens of Harriman. And because of that, we have a seat on this board. So I can't come here and go, oh, I'm only going to make decisions I think are right for the board, because I have to make decisions that are also right for my residents, because that's my job. That's why I'm here. So I can't separate the two. I can't say, well, no, because if they leave, it's not super good for this district. I can't separate the two. I'll admit that 100%, because the reason I'm here is because the citizens of Harriman trust me to do a good job. And so it's a constant. It's clear, but I don't know. That's the way it's structured. It's the way the boards are structured. And so I will readily admit, but at the end of the day, my Harriman residents will always run out because they're providing. So anyway, those are my comments about it. And I think that our people were great. We obviously don't want the district to go 100% with the RFP, because we're like, well, we want to make sure that surveys, this was the problem I had with surveys. How many responses are you going to get? We have 65,000 people who live in Harriman. So if you get a few hundred, is that really representative of the way people feel? I don't know. That's the issue I have just with surveys. It's like, you really clearly indicate what's going on. There also can be very swayed first on, did you ask him? How did you ask him? A lot of times you'll ask questions that would be like, because that's the answer you want to get. Not that the management team would do that, but so that's why it's going to be important for us politically involved. Parent city staff will work with these guys closely to make sure that the results from the RFP are just factual results that we really need to make decisions on.
That's why the third party would conduct.
Yeah.
that, absolutely, and again, we have to get a balanced sample, and they can determine what is a balanced sample, meaning that those residents that are in the homes that we service, right? You might have a bigger population.
Right.
When you're in those homes, and would that balance sample be? So that's, and that's why I want the outside the experts to do this.
Agree 100%.
Lori's got a comment on the line. Go, Lori.
Thank you. I just had to say, one of the reasons why special districts work so well is because it is those dual hats that we have to wear when we're on here. We always have to balance, are we doing the best things for our community at the same time? Are we doing best things for the whole? And does that balance out? And is it balancing out over time, or is it something that we need to relook at regularly? It's never a bad thing to always be relooking at our boundaries and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and always reevaluating if we're being the most effective and efficient with what we're doing as a whole entity. Having said that, we have a mission and a vision of what we have to do when we sit on the board here. And we have to balance that with our mission and visions of what we've been elected to do in each of our various roles. So that is why special districts work, though, because you're constantly balancing those two out, making decisions that are always in the best interest of not just the people you serve, but the people all throughout the communities that are served by this board as well. And recognizing and balancing those two things are basically what every one of us has to do. And I commend Sherry, because I know it's always good to look at things over time and say what's in the best interest of who we've contracted with and how we're working, or who we're members with and how we're working, and then kind of find out what's the best way to go. We're in a little bit of a dilemma or predicament, though, because special districts run a little bit different in how they're set up in law. So we've got to meet some obligations and some requirements before we can just say, yeah, go. Good luck. We wish you the best, that type of a thing. So that we have to do due diligence as a board to make sure we meet those obligations and regulations set out and laid out by law. And once those have done and met, then we can move forward. So I love that we're going through this process. It's never a bad thing to do. It gives us a good chance to reevaluate and relook at things and understand how our district runs and works. It's always a great dive in. So I just wanted to give us 2 cents worth.
I appreciate what, Board Member Orman said, and also, Lori, I would support what Pam is suggesting, that Harry would cover their costs and we cover their costs to look at a more expensive, like the bigger picture. While we're doing it, it just makes sense to kind of, to look at the whole process, and how we will be affected by different cities that are looking at things. I think that makes sense. I also think that, I share, I'm going to take political side, so I definitely share all your concerns about surveys for sure. But I think that it's even better data than anecdotal data that we get knocking doors, or because the calls we get are all negative, right? I mean, no one ever calls in and says thank you so much for amazing, trash cleanup. So I share your concerns. I do think that's one of the reasons why having a third party and having Harriman involved so that we can make sure that the questions aren't biased would be really helpful. And like you say, the institutions that do those things understand about sample size and data. So even though it's not perfect, I think it's good information. And I agree with you that we all want to do what's best for Harriman. And I think it's kind of at the end of the day, we're like, yeah, this is what, I don't even all same thing, say, sounds like a great option for you guys. We will just miss you on the board. So that's what I'm supportive of, is expanding that vision just a little bit, us covering the cost of that expanded vision. I
I'll be very brief. I love this conversation, first of all, and just the only thing I would add is the value of information. I think good governing bodies make good decisions when given comprehensive information with which to make those decisions. So, which again, you were saying as well. So I appreciate the vision you have to to say, let's expand the process and ensure that we're getting information across all of our entities, so I support it.
And just to be clear on my part, I know I put something down at the bottom, but we anticipate the RFP to be drafted and bring back something to you in September, but we don't anticipate launching that until we get a consensus between Harriman and the district. And so we may not have a firm sort up by October, before October. I would anticipate sometime in October, we can report back as we go. If that makes sense.
I think it's wise that we have this conversation. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Emily and Marcy. I think it's really wise for the district to have the language in the bylaws saying how an entity can leave and come to Woodward.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you going through this. I appreciate you updating. I think it would be pretty bad if we had this as a board and we continued without a way for cities and municipalities to be able to leave. To me, I'm kind of with both. It is a conflict. And I also think competition is a good thing. It can make us all better. And I understand the fact that cities and municipalities are dynamic and they're constantly changing. And we're always trying to balance that and balance the needs of the residents with the needs of the services that can be provided. So thank you for doing this. I'll be really interested to see the results of this. And there you go.
Just one word, I love the comment that you said even about coming, going and coming, this is what you were talking about. So because I'm trying to bring everything, how clear is that? I think that's really good.
That was easy parts, we just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. They just want some direction. I mean, for me, when I made my comment last month, we need to be team players. It's not about you need to fall in line. That was never the intention of the comment. The comment is that, for example, I'm concerned for Harriman residents if Harriman leaves. Because across the entire history of the county, when something like this happens, how many times will this occur? Either switch and date, price change, all of a sudden they get you in a regular price, or the service just isn't what I was expected. And I can step away from White City and look objectively at different situations and see there is a potential problem. I'm not trying to make parent stays. If that's the right action, I can appreciate that. I just want to make sure that we're looking at the same benefit. I mean, even you've admitted that it's not that it's apples to oranges comparison for what they gave you. They didn't put you exactly everything that the district provides, which is fine. But that's where my hesitation comes in for dragging my feet. It's not because I'm trying to control one city's estimate. The district is important. We all get a benefit from being a part of it. And that's all I'll say on that. I definitely am not. I do apologize. I never came across from me that way. But anyway, so it sounds like the direction though is to move forward with the RFP. I didn't hear anybody say that we were against us paying for a portion of that for the expansion of that RFP. So
Do we have any idea of the cost?
Honestly, we don't yet. I mean, just reached out to the financing districts. Water district out in the southwest does do some sort of a study.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, rate studies.
This keeps me right. We did two feasibility studies. First one was issued with the governor's office, and then Venezuela did one. That was about $14,000. So that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So true.
Based on the magnitude of the study itself.
Yeah.
But, that's, you look at like the starting point, like, that cost.
For sure. And I would guess it's a high share will be here for there. Because there will be a percentage of that, large percentage of the expansion in there.
So you've got a correction, or do you need more? Or we can- I was thinking that since back when we were trying to execute.
Yeah, right.
Analysis. Or is it just going?
Yeah, if you just give me that, because it went in exactly. But I didn't bring back the information. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
Make sure it's released for budget and all that, but still do it.
So it sounds like we have.
Okay, good.
Alright. Alright, moving on to 4.7, all of the trailer rental program.
All right, so, we as staff were asked to come back with more information. One of the things I wanted to do, I gave a little background here, is just so you know, this is not the first time that a trailer rental has come under scrutiny. There was times, when I first started as the division director, I was asked to go to the Plant Haulers Association, and their roll-offs and so forth, and I was accused of stealing, food off their tables because we had this trailer program. And so I was like, well, I'm just getting here, so let me just follow up and see what's going on. But come to find out, there was plenty of waste in the valley to be hauled off. And so, but then, so the trailer program stayed intact. We increased the fees for that program. It started out really low. I'm not even gonna try to remember what it first started. But, from there, and I think you all know the Administrative Control Board was first formed in 2010, and that's when the 4 big cities came to the table to serve on board and have a say in the waste and recycling services they received. And there were 5 county fees at that time. So the Administrative Control Board got some pressure from the private haulers to, again. So the board at that time in 2011 decided to suspend the bulk rental. They kept agreeing, but they suspended the bulk. And then 2 years later, they brought it back, basically for the reasons of the Salt Lake Valley Health Department reported an increase in illegal dumping. Most municipalities offered a dump or trailer program. Increasing the bulk trailers would increase revenue to offset costs. Eliminating bulk rentals does not reduce the fixed costs of other trailers using, the leaf bag, Christmas tree, et cetera. So that's the thing is I want to make sure that trailers are not just for the rental. I think we all understand they're for the Christmas tree and leaves if we need them in emergency cleanup, for that purpose as well.
Can I just make sure I understand what you're saying? So essentially, trailers are sitting, like if we got rid of the trailer program, they would still be sitting around when they're not being used for the leaf bag, Christmas trees and emergencies. And this just allows us to have a revenue stream rather than just have them sit around. Is that right? Okay, exactly. So that's, okay.
And granted, we're not charging the actual costs.
Yeah.
Right? We all did that. And so some of the information that I was asked to bring back is what would be the cost per ton or what would be the fee per ton if we were to actually charge the cost? And then how does it compare to private haulers? So just going up into the follow-up information. And then, getting into this, at the end of this information, I would really like to have it labeled, what are we trying to fix? Right? If I could just have you all think about that, get to the end here. So if you look at the actual cost for 2023, 2024, I'm gonna go by 2024. So we have $400 per trailer. And so what that equates to is $22 per yard if we actually look at the costs. Getting into the price comparisons, we have our price here, the bulk. What right now we raised our fee coming into 2025 from $190 to $240 for the bulk, and we increased the green from $50 to $80. So if you look at what does that charge per yard of 18-yard trailer? So right now it'll be at $13.33 per yard or $4.44 for the green. Going down, like you look at the private haulers, we have these two trash daddy and waste management committees that we provided for you. I think it was earlier this year or last year, so I brought those back as some sort of a comparison to private haulers. So, trash daddy is a 15-yard, not quite the same size, and that's the hard part. And so looking at a price per yard, I think is a smart way to go. And I think that reported over Sheldon's recommendation. So for trash daddy, you're looking at $30 per yard or $26.30 for the 30-yarder, and then waste management has the $8.17 for a 30-yarder, that's $27 per yard. So we're well below private haulers. And I think the comparison for that versus other municipalities, or I should say, and other municipalities, is that we know that Murray, West Valley, Draper, they have other funding sources, right? We have one source, and that's residential. We can, if we sell trucks, then that's another revenue stream, but otherwise we rely on things. So government, you have Murray's information there. They have a 20-yarder that's similar to our scrap program. That's a reservation that they do. There's no charge for that. And then their green is $22.22. West Valley City, no charge again. Many cities have a roll-off delivery that they'll do at no additional cost, but they also might have a rental company that they, or a private hauler that they use to rent. So it just depends on the city. With Draper, they have a 20-yard at $120, and that would be $6 a yard. 30-yard is basically $5, and you can go through these and see. I don't know if you want me to read all of these, but I think the bottom line is every city does provide a means for residents to get rid of their bulky stuff. And so that's what we do as well. I think it's a valid service that we provide and help reduce the illegal dumping and keep our cities clean. The other information, do you have any questions with Dorian?
I am curious, does Murray just pay for that?
We provide trailers as well.
Through the company? I was just curious how.
And the 20-yarder is through ACE. That's the roll-off that is done by reservation, I believe. That was a newer one that came about a few years back. And it was a compliment because Murray, they monitored what we were doing with the reservations when we had to switch. So they kind of piggyback online reservation. Well, that's the one that there's no charge. Other questions?
I love the information of the cost per yard, makes it very easy.
Yeah.
compare
That is very
What you get, like how much capacity you get, and what it's costing you to be able to lead to. But obviously you still have a flat rate you're paying for as a consumer of that. It is good to see, you know, it's like when we go to the grocery store, when they put how much else, when we buy it, they quicker, getting more, less money or small.
The next page goes through, and you've seen this before, it breaks it out by rental by city. And I tried to put it by, the highest number of rentals to the smaller numbers, if you would. And then down at the bottom is the reservation for the canyon. So that's another use that we use for those trailers. They can get into tight spots like the canyons, and the town of Brighton. And theirs is by reservation. So, if there's no questions, I guess we get to the recommendations.
I kind of put like a note for holiday cover packs and things, but I'll have quite a few trailers. Numbers of rental. Do they offer, like, and Herman governs so much from 38 compared to the size of our city? But we also do our own program for, we spin up for citizens. Do you know, do those cities, do you guys offer any other, bulk waste cleanup in your cities? Do your cities offer?
We just this year did like a day that was based on what you were telling me that we set up, but that's like one day a year, and I think we'll keep doing, but that's it. So I'm wondering if that's the difference. I was thinking, Because those ones all seem a lot, like it's significantly higher than that next group.
Yeah.
And that next group, if you guys offer it and Murray offers something, the, White City's a lot smaller. Small but important.
I was just curious.
You're actually the second.
Yeah, it's a one-day big cleanup.
Yeah, we do ours is it's a whole week cleanup. They can just bring it for part. It actually would mean a lot.
I'm sure.
And so that's why I was curious if maybe that's why our residents don't rent houses because we offer that.
Do you offer something in medical?
We don't.
Okay.
And then just to remember, this is rental, what residents will pay extra for. And then the scrap, the season container reservation program, that's at least 60 containers per day going in, right? And those reports will be coming out to you cities, so you can see what we're able to, the demand rate, even though it might be limited, we're still meeting. Okay. And moving on, conclusion and recommendations, I do have more than just one out for you all to consider. I apologize, this is about one more. But, so conclusion, Woodford charges more per yard than any other government entity. That could very well be because we only have one, fee or one revenue source and then this additional fee to cover that. And then both trailer rental and scrap provide a needed avenue for residents to dispose of their bulky waste, which helps to reduce their, as I've already mentioned, I'm sorry. And so my recommendation to you and the staff is that we keep both programs, certainly respect whatever you may want to do with these, but we know from history that it does create some issues. So options include increasing the rental fee for bulk trailer rentals to reduce the dependency of the monthly fee. And then the other bullet that I would add here is to shift resources from trailer over to scrap, if that's what you so desire. I mentioned we could move one FTE or two FTEs. One of the things that we want to do for the 2026 budget, just so you know, coming into this year is we budgeted for 10 drivers, CDL drivers, part-time, right, or seasonal, I should say. They work 40 hours a week for 6 months. And then we had 4 ground. Well, coming through over that scrap evolution, we know that we don't really need a ground crew, that a driver can go out and target that container and haul it off, as long as it's not full of stuff. So for next year, we'd like to shift that funding that we've had for this ground crew into the CDL driver. We don't know if we'll be able to get 12 drivers, but we want to at least budget for it. This year we had 10. We started the season with 10, and now have 7. So it still remains a challenge to recruit and retain, but that's why the thought is if you shift one entity trailer over to scrap, then that's a sure thing to happen.
How much would that reduce the cost, like over here on the costs per yard, would that impact the, how much would that affect cost per yard?
So it's hard to say, but we cut it in half. Because it just depends on how much, how many we can deliver. Economies of scale, that you'll notice that the 2023 estimated cost per rental was 406, and then 2024 was 400. That's because we rent more. So.
But if you're even talking about half, the cost per yard, even if it went down 30% or something, like if you think half is even a real possibility, that, even if we only go down 30% or something by moving that FTE over, maybe at this point, instead of increasing price, we reduce the cost by doing that. That makes sense to me.
And it seems like, if I understand the problem that you're trying to fix, if I understand correctly, is that there's angst about that $600,000 loss because we don't, we have a rental fee to offset it, but it's only about $75K a year. So there's a remaining cost of $600K, right? So that's one issue. But yes, it would reduce that, is my understanding. It was shifted from trailer. It definitely would still be a cost, but it would just shift, right?
But it's still a cost that this to get that shifted. There's no savings, it's just a paper shift, right? The shop in.
Yes. And that's, thank you for labeling it, I just wanna make sure that everyone understands that, but it seems to be a more palatable, cost to go over to scrap because everybody wants more. That's my understanding of the frustration with the seasonal container program is that everybody wants more, more availability. I'm understanding the fix on that. Do I understand?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if you're spending the money, why not put it somewhere, but at the same time, don't sacrifice the income that we get from the trade, and that's the balance of data that, if we're already spending, it's just leaving it doing nothing versus, we throw this in scrap, and it not cost us more. I think that's probably really powerful, because it's still losing, but at least we're not losing its value.
Well,
At least getting a better benefit to our citizens.
I think the only way you mentioned, is that more palatable, will that work, if we want more scrap? The only way you're gonna make people in Taylorsville happy with scrap is to put it on. Well, I mean, that's,
I think
bottom line.
everybody's communities are probably saying that too.
I could go out and say, okay, we have 2 extra trailers coming scrap, and they're like, I don't care, if it's not mine, and I don't have to have it on the street.
Yeah, agree.
That's the sad reality of it.
It does be great at fix good case, unless you put it back on the street, and it might, it's just not good for us.
Well, I think there was a comparison, I think last month, it used to cost 1 million something, and if we were to turn it around, 3 or 5 million or something. It's just
That's if we can get 26.
Right.
We can't fix it.
And to do that, you're probably gonna have to introduce a pay raise again, the CDLs are just, they're just like, oh, who's paying more money? Oh, over here. I mean, I get it, government jobs have
You're fine.
benefits and people that are looking long term, they see that value. But a lot of the people like the workers don't appreciate that value. Unfortunately. But it is the reality, so. Okay.
So I guess, what is it that you all wanna fix? So that, because we can come up with all kinds of scenarios and different things, but if I maybe identify what it is you want, what's broken?
We need the $600,000.
Yeah, I
Okay.
get it.
It's that's,
Yeah.
We're losing a lot of money there.
that's what I've heard, so I wanna make sure I'm on the right.
But raising that trailer rental rate should help. But it actually help us in the way. And whether or not scrap, I think that's a secondary, if we can throw a couple extras and have a, hey, we have a last minute available. And it doesn't cost us more money to do that, that would be bonus, in my mind.
It is logistically, that's gonna be tough.
Right.
We're talking maybe more.
That's what I was saying, leave that to your company, because like,
Fair.
I would say that that would be nice.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not in the big days, so it may not be feasible. It's not.
I think the bottom line we talked about at the last meeting is that 1% of the patients, 1% of the residents use the trailer rental.
Yeah.
And so I'm not gonna hear from 1% of the people in Taylorsville, and they're not gonna go knocking on each other's doors and say, I wasn't able to rent a trailer. They're just not gonna do that. And so that's where I come down, is that's a big expense for 1% of the residents.
So could we do both, like raise the rate and then also move over? I mean, because moving over just makes sense, even though it's somewhat of a shell game, at least we're putting the resources toward the program. Not that people necessarily like, because they say good things about it, but everybody still uses, or a larger percentage of the population.
Yeah.
But Robert from immigration, for those in the canyon areas, we still need this.
Yes.
And it means going up in price, and it's still better than the private sector, I still will. So if it needs to go up, it'd still be a medical incentive.
What does it look like if we cover our costs? Are we still being in the private sector to cover our costs?
So it would be the $400 per rental and the $22.22 per yard. So it would still be, under these two examples, it would still be less. I just don't know how many rentals we would get.
I need some.
I think it's fair. I think at the end of the day, having an option through Wilford is most valuable. And I'm also gonna say that if you need it in the canyon, you're gonna pay for it.
What I'm wondering, rather than go up to the 400, I want to know if you move that FTE over and then look at the costs, what would that be going up to?
That's hard because we have to go out and take a look and give you estimates. And the only thing we can do is give estimates of what's being provided. But we don't, if you raise that fee, I don't know if the number, if the demand is going down. I guess that's the thing.
And as it goes down, then it becomes more available to scrap. So that's my take, Keith. I don't know if you want to speak on that, but I.
Yeah,
Sorry to catch up, or.
no. Still think as far as trailer use. Program that's out there and for residents of Brighton, is that they just reserve a trailer. So anything else would be, but where there's no cost for them to do that. So the only issue there for the residents is time. Can I get the trailer available? Otherwise, then they're picture on that kind of service. We contemplated doing bulk pickup days where schedule time is. Taylorsville, we have space to do those things. At the ski resort, part of, one side, you have everybody drop off stuff and just run roll-offs back, accommodate that. But what we've seen so far, and we're doing a better job as far as educating our customers, is that the use of because we have bins, so they're all front load. So they have an opportunity to put large things and things go away. The only thing that we're missing is the fact that we don't do e-waste. That's kind of a big thing too. So those things will end up in the dumpsters and then hauled off to landfill. Then we do offer a glass recycle. That's a cost for the town. Again, that's something we're providing. But otherwise, training, so, or, the folks that, live up there, what to put in, what not to put in. They also have the opportunity. A free pass to go to the dump. So all they have to do is pick up the pass, with the freebie, take it out to the dump. So, the impact, the whole program here, the impact is minimal to us, whether the level is being used. So again, we just try to get our residents to just ask for the trailer, right ahead. Go from there. We also, at town, we've also contemplated some of those costs. Either going to third party, and if things aren't available, and just compensate. It's a different challenge, but we're working here. So I think everybody here working the best support our residents.
Just one final thought, or it may not be final, that I haven't really heard, that I just want to share for perspective. When we're thinking about return on investment and impact and the percentage of the residents who are experiencing the service, one thing to remember, I think, is the more holistic impact that it provides. Even if there are residents who do not take advantage of it, there is still a positive impact on those residents and the experiences they have within the community. So I know that's hard to quantify, but it's part of the narrative. I think that's, yeah, exactly. That I think in whatever, if the decisions were made to increase cost or whatever it is, always communicating the why behind it is critical. Why for the increase, but also the why for the positive impact. This is what we see when our residents, our customers, participate in this. And this is why we continue to invest.
I'm kind of the opinion that rather than raise it to the exact cost, I'd hate to put that burden on communities that really rely on that a lot. My suggestion would be maybe we just go halfway from where we're at, halfway into the actual cost, so that they're still getting a better benefit. And it gives us time to absorb and get more data and see where that lands. Does it reduce the number of rentals? Because ultimately, these trailers allow us to get rid of a lot of bulk goods that, if somebody's not able to get scrapped that year, there's still a way for them to do it. And they're more likely to use it if they feel like they're getting a deal. And, it's $4 a yard cheaper than the competition in the private sector. I don't know that people are necessarily gonna feel like, let me just utilize this benefit that I already have access to through the district. And then, but in my mind, it at least gives us time to see what happens without just going to the maximum. And I think that alternative communities will do better. We're still seeing the benefits of that. So,
I don't think we get scrapped. And that's why this is, it's just the only way to do it.
yeah,
So to eliminate it, it'd be detrimental to the community. But if it had to increase in price and it's still better than the private sector,
yeah,
I don't mean, but I mean, the flip side is that scrap is free.
yeah,
And so we are subsidizing,
yeah.
large volume.
It feels like that we're again back to one size fits all.
Yes.
It's like this for you guys, these are scrap. So this has to be carved out for you guys. And it's a completely different ballgame for you. You're not, this isn't, this is your scrap program. Yeah.
I mean, I would,
It is reservation, you'll pay for this. Sounds great. But then if you need additional, then you pay it, clean up the center. That'll be paid by the cities.
They're not, you're not paying for these right now.
What down at the bottom of the illustration of that is their reservation.
So these are the free ones.
Yes.
So they're not doing additional trailer rentals.
They are, but I apologize, they're not in here. So
Are they minimal? Are they?
they're not as big, they're more down at the
Bottom.
bottom. And then notice that there are city rentals in there too.
Yeah.
That the city will sponsor, for example, Conversion Canyon needs a trailer at the property that they're cleaning up. Shaverville just have one. So there are.
so, I mean, I would be in favor of, scraps available to you. I'd be in favor of, to those communities that can't participate because of logistics reasons, can we separate them with a different rate that's a little more beneficial to the favor? So they get a little bit better discount on trailer rental because they use scrap, for example. I would be okay with doing that to kind of help. And I think that maybe everybody feels the same, maybe they don't, but because one size doesn't fit all, what can we do? What would benefit your community?
Well, they get scrapped through the trailer reservation.
Right.
So they can call and get a trailer for free.
Okay. So they just don't.
So if you want extra, like every other community, they want extra,
Then
then you're you get the. So.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they didn't get any, so that's the benefit of this.
Yeah.
Not existent.
I'm sorry if I misrepresented.
No, you're fine. I don't, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I know that, your guys' area is really, or maybe it's a better solution for you guys. It sounds like they can.
And on behalf of all the residents, we're grateful for all the services we get, even rescheduling a third of our pickup days due to snow.
Right.
We're the outlier.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping us.
Well,
So it looks like, could we come back with price point options. Does that sound like maybe the next step?
The next, yeah, the proposed budget, suggestions on these.
Yeah, I just say to go straight to the non-state cost solicitation, where everybody's had that benefit of having deep discounted for so long, but I hate to see us just go all over the balance, be like, there you go. And then have it figured that out from so slow and steady.
Okay.
Did you ever murder? Are we?
Well, I just have my report, but I know that, for time, I can skim through it. Whatever you'd like to do, or,
Yeah, you just, kind of like the
the highlight.
things we need to be done.
Well, I wanted to kind of give a short history about the district, because I don't know if everybody around the table knows how we really came about and what the process was, but we had, 70 employees that were under Salt Lake County Sanitation Division. I was serving as a division director, and the cities at the table, you know, that I mentioned the ACB, well, the 4 cities really wanted to have more say and control of the budget and personnel. So, the idea of becoming separate started in 2011, and it kind of grew from there. So in 2012, I was tasked with working with consultants and the county and everybody else, and let's get ready to launch this new organization. So you can imagine that the 70 employees who've been under county employment for many years were a little anxious. So we held a little competition and contests about name the district. Then let's develop the logo. What do you guys want this to look like? So anyway, those contests basically, the results are the logo that you see, and then also the name of the district. So there were different names that employees brought forward, and we took them to the board, and so it kind of grew in name through the board's will of Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District. So I just wanted to make sure you had a little bit of history about that. The employees were involved. When we launched, the board said that they weren't going to change anything for at least 5 years, and they held true to their word. OPEB was one of the first things that was discussed and changed, which is understandable. That was a huge liability. But the mission was actually established in 2003, and then the tagline, we added that tagline because not everything was in the can in 2009 because of that array of variety of services that we provide. And then the goals were set in 2008 and evolved over time. And just a little history there is that when I first started in 2007, it was clear that there wasn't a lot of meetings that were held. In fact, the first meeting I held with managers and supervisors lasted 3 hours because they had a lot to say. And it's, you know, so eventually we got to the point where they were down to an hour. We would have retreats, which started in 2008. The recognition program started in 2008, and safety awards and so forth. And then the goals I mentioned, but what we have is sustain a high 90th percentile customer satisfaction, and that comes from championing the understanding that we don't exist without our residents and our customers, and achieve a high 80th percentile of employee satisfaction. And that is a high level of employee engagement by fostering a positive work environment where employees collaborate, support each other, and share a common sense of purpose. And that is, again, continually talking about our mission and our vision. And environmental and financial stewardship and loss prevention, leadership designed to inspire employee innovation and empower for effective problem solving that improves organizational performance. So you'll know, and I'm proud of this team, continually looking for ways to reduce costs through efficiencies, or absorb costs, I should say. And then our desired culture was established in 2019 during a leadership retreat, and that is we have a desired culture of compassion, respect, and development. And so the Woodward University, the vision of that came about, and then kind of was waylaid as many other things with COVID. But Hazel Gunsmore is doing a great job. Katarina's helping out get that Woodward University up and going and more publicized. I think I've talked about the succession planning that we've been doing. These are just photos from the retreats and the workshops that we've held. We had 3 without Pam Gardio, and then we had 2 with her. I can say that the synergy between the leadership team right now is just fantastic. I'm very excited, for the team to learn from Evan as, I transition out. I think that he'll have fresh eyes, new perspective. I can say that I've had several conversations with, well, 2 conversations with Evan on the phone. He asks not only, good questions, but the right questions. So, he's ready. And so the team is ready as well. So anyway, scrolling on down, just briefly, that, so you'll know, and it's always, as I mentioned, it's always a compliment when somebody asks, how do you do this? What's working for you? So we had visitors that explored, or that are currently exploring the possibilities of a new sanitation district up in Summit County to service Park City and some of the other outside municipalities or areas. So they wanted to come and visit with us. And I thought that was just a really nice compliment to what we're doing here. And so Helen, David, myself, James, Kelsey, who's our sustainability coordinator, met with these folks and representatives from Park City, Summit County, Park City Community Foundation, and Recycle Utah. And they asked a lot of great questions. We gave them an overview of what we do, how we do it. Took them for a tour of the facilities. They saw the CNG island and their trucks, and they asked great questions. So I just wanted to kind of tout that, you know, what we're doing is working. I'm proud.
Yeah, that's a real compliment.
You think they're gonna end up doing it? Is it looking like that?
I talked to, one of the Summit Commissioners, Chris Wallace. He said, Marcy and Matt. Anyone say hi?
Oh, yes.
So, but I talked to him at a trust board meeting, is how I know Chris, and he said that they are exploring it quite a bit, and I get a couple of phone calls, and that's, I told him, phone call away, even after retirement. Yeah. Still in the exploration phase.
Yeah, we don't get tired, shut up.
Keeping the same number.
Yeah, I asked for special permission to keep my same number, I've had it for 18 years, so. Yeah.
I'm sure someone will be on the phone trying to recruit you.
I'm retired.
So, yeah, there you go, something from your bike.
It's beef. So false.
You hear the engine that.
Yeah, I think,
Awesome. Well, that's great, appreciate it. Go ahead and move on. But I think we're gonna have a closed section. Does anybody have any other work business? Discuss.
Okay, I have to give a shout out.
No,
to Brittany.
sorry.
Sorry, so, got it, you know, I get work. So I get an email from a resident who said, I got a scrap, I stayed up till midnight, my name's on it, and I got his email, or I got his phone text, whatever I got. And so, all right, it's 9:45, I'll call, I wanted to call, maybe there was just a mistake, right? So I get a hold of Renee, and I did not expect you to do this, Renee. I said, hey, could you just check and see if it was delivered to this address? She goes, give me his name. I said, oh, okay. She gets him on the phone right then. And so took care of it right there and explained to him, was it there when you called? Yes. It was there. So then I get another message from him. And I shouldn't do this, but I have to share. I am so grateful to you, Renee. And he was very, very grateful, except for the fact that it was delivered at 10 a.m. when the sun was out. And how was he going to load it because it was hot? But Renee, you're a superstar because he just really quoted again and again how much he appreciated that you called. So thank you. And I did too, because, you know, I can call, but I don't have the logistics. Thank you, a shout out. And I know that happens all the time, not just, yeah, it happens all the time.
Renee's a rock star.
You want to talk about that is changing the superstars.
Well, for the extra.
She really is a rock star.
But she's a super star.
And close our store.
Well, that's good. All right, well, we'll go ahead and move on to question items for the next board meeting, May 22nd. 2026 proposed budget for the fee schedule and general management report.
I'll add to that follow on the RFP. And fair. Fair to be part of it.
And fairness.
That'll be part of the budget. Thank you, Peter.
All right, well, take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody. See you. Oh, that was good. Aye. Thank you very much for your time. Very welcome.
Thank you all.
Sorry, I'm worrying about someone completely else. Thank you.
I guess I have my wrap it.